Welcome to the deep dive. This is where you bring the sources and we unpack them together.
Yeah, pulling out the absolute most important nuggets of knowledge and insight.
Exactly. It's
Right.
designed to be your personal shortcut to, being well informed.
Giving you those aha moments.
Right. With surprising facts and just enough humor, hopefully, to keep you hooked. Today, we're doing a deep dive into excerpts from a pretty foundational text, certainly in Silicon Valley, but really beyond. Peter Thiel's book, 0 to 1.
Foundational's the right word.
This book isn't just theory, is it? It's like packed with insights from his own experiences.
Oh, absolutely. Real world stuff. Co-founding PayPal, Palantir.
And being a super early investor in companies like Facebook and SpaceX, game changers.
Right. And the book itself, it actually started as notes from a Stanford class he taught.
Yeah, adapted for a wider audience, which is great for us. So our mission for this deep dive, it's simple, but I think pretty powerful.
Okay.
We want to unpack Thiel's core ideas, some of them are definitely controversial, about what it really takes to build companies that create genuinely new things. 0 to 1, right?
That's the core concept.
We're going to explore his perspective on the future, competition, why he thinks it might be bad.
Which is counterintuitive for most people.
Totally. Why monopolies can be good, what lessons we maybe should have learned from tech booms and busts.
It's like the dot-com era.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's see what lessons we can pull out and maybe apply.
And honestly, these ideas, they couldn't be more relevant right now. You see them reflected everywhere.
How so?
Well, they speak directly to current startup culture, the big tech trends everyone's talking about.
Right.
And even just how we think about progress itself, about what's possible. So the goal here isn't just like understanding the book chapter by chapter.
No.
It's seeing how these powerful, sometimes, counterintuitive ideas might actually apply to your own thinking.
Yeah, whether you're an entrepreneur working on something or just trying to figure out this crazy, fast-changing world. And get ready because, well, we're going to cover some genuinely wild stuff.
He doesn't pull punches.
No, he doesn't. We're talking about why competing might be the absolute worst thing you can do.
Right.
Why monopolies, the good kind, he argues, are essential. Some critical, maybe overlooked lessons from the dot-com bust that honestly still kind of mess with our heads.
They really do. The narratives are sticky.
And why having a strong plan, even if it's not perfect, is crucial in a world that feels, well, completely random sometimes.
The definite versus indefinite future idea.
Exactly. So let's jump right into that core idea, the foundation, creating the future.
Okay.
Thiel starts with this question, his famous contrarian question.
Yeah, the one everyone quotes.
What important truth do very few people agree with you on?
It seems simple.
Deceptively simple, right?
Yeah.
Just tell me something true almost no one believes. But try answering it right now?
It's really, really difficult.
So why is it so hard?
Well, for one, think about the knowledge everyone does agree on. That's what you learn in school, right? It's in the textbooks.
Yeah, it's conventional.
Exactly. It's conventional because it's widely accepted. And psychologically, we're just wired. It's hard to go against the crowd.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable. Feels risky.
Totally. Our brains seek consensus. It feels safer.
Okay, so it's tough to answer. But how does this question connect to the future?
Well, that's the fascinating part. He defines the future not just as, time yet to come,
Right.
but specifically as a time when the world looks different from today.
Different how?
If the next 100 years look just like the last 100, he says the future is still a century away. But if things change dramatically in the next decade, well, then the future's close.
I see. So change equals future arriving.
And those good answers to the contrarian question, those important truths that others miss.
Yeah.
He argues those are the closest we can get to actually looking into that different future. They're insights about now that reveal a path to something new.
Okay. So let's unpack this idea of how the world actually changes. Progress. He talks about two forms.
Right. Horizontal and vertical.
Horizontal or extensive progress. That's going from 1 to n.
Copying things that already work. Like you have one typewriter.
You make 100 more just like it.
Exactly. And the word for that on a global scale.
Globalization. Spreading existing stuff everywhere.
And then you have vertical or intensive progress.
This is the 0 to 1 part.
Doing genuinely new things. Taking that typewriter.
And inventing the word processor.
Right. And he calls this technology, but really broadly. Any new and better way of doing things.
Not just computers.
No, not just digital stuff, though that's dominated lately. It's pure innovation.
What's crucial here, he points out, is that these two things, globalization, 1 to N, and technology, 0 to 1, they're different modes.
Yeah, and they don't automatically happen together. You can have periods with both.
Like 1815 to 1914, he mentions.
Right, or periods with very little of either, like after World War I.
Okay, so this leads to his own contrarian answer, right? The truth, he thinks, few people agree on.
Exactly. Most people, he believes, think the future is defined by globalization, the rest of the world catching up.
Using existing models.
Yeah. But the real truth, the more important driver of a future that's actually different, that's technology, 0 to 1.
Creating new ways of doing things. He uses some pretty sharp examples here.
Like China.
Yeah, if China just doubles energy production using today's tech.
They double their air pollution. Simple math.
Or if India somehow managed to live exactly like Americans do today without new tech.
The environmental strain, the resource strain,
Yeah.
It would be immense hardship.
So without technological change, without that 0 to 1 leap, globalization alone just spreads the current problems wider.
It doesn't create a fundamentally better future for everyone. It hits limits.
He also gives that quick sweep of history, right? Progress was super slow for ages.
Millennia. Then boom, steam engine in the 1760s up to about 1970. Rapid progress.
And people back then, late 60s, they expected it to just keep going.
Totally. 4-day work weeks, cheap energy, moon vacations. They thought it was automatic.
But it wasn't.
No. And astonishingly, he points out, since the 70s, really only computers and communications have seen that kind of dramatic 0 to 1 improvement.
So the challenge is we have to consciously build new tech for this century. It won't just appear.
We have to imagine it and make it happen.
Which raises the key question, where does this 0 to 1 innovation usually come from?
Startups. That's his answer.
Why startups? Why not big companies or individuals?
Well, doing genuinely new things is incredibly hard in big organizations. Bureaucracy.
Entrenched interests.
Yeah, and often just looking busy, signaling, is better for your career than actually trying something bold and disruptive.
And doing it totally alone.
Almost impossible. You can't create a whole industry by yourself in your garage.
So it's a small group?
Small groups bound by a shared mission, focused on a specific hard problem. That's his model for changing the world.
Okay, so thinking about this, why should you, the listener, care about 0 to 1 versus 1 to N? How does understanding these different types of progress, maybe where real innovation tends to bubble up from, change how you see things, your own work, maybe?
It's a fundamental lens, I think. Changes how you might approach projects where you focus energy.
Okay, let's shift gears and talk about the past for a bit.
Yeah.
Specifically, that crazy period, the dot-com bubble.
Ah, yes. Party like it's 1999.
Right. And how the lessons everyone thought they learned from it are maybe still messing things up today.
Definitely distorting things.
Thiel quotes Nietzsche here. Madness is rare in individuals, but in groups, parties, nations, and ages, it is the rule. He suggests if you can spot one of those widespread, maybe delusional popular beliefs.
You might find a contrarian truth hiding right behind it.
And the 90s internet craze was definitely an age of, well, collective belief bordering on madness for some.
Oh, for sure. A major bubble. Maybe the biggest since 1929 in terms of that feeling that everything had changed, fundamentally.
And the critical thing is the lessons people took away after it burst.
They still define and distort how people think about tech and startups. Still.
So if you want to think clearly about the future...
First step. Question what you think you know about that past.
He paints the picture of the late 90s. It wasn't all just blind optimism, was it?
No, not really. There was an anxiety too, globalization fears, jobs going overseas.
Ross Perot getting all those votes.
Right? Even the cultural angst in grunge music.
Yeah.
And Silicon Valley itself felt a bit sluggish earlier in the decade.
But then the boom hit.
And irrational exuberance took over. He uses the PayPal story as a perfect example.
Okay.
They started with this crazy 0 to 1 mission, replaced the US dollar.
Audacious.
Totally. The first product, beaming money between Palm Pilots.
Yeah.
Complete flop. Voted one of the 10 worst business ideas of 1999. Seriously.
Wow. Okay, not a great start.
Not great. But they pivoted to email payments and used this incredibly aggressive incentive.
The $10 to sign up.
Yeah, and another $10 to refer a friend.
Yeah.
It fueled insane growth, like 7% daily growth at one point.
That's nuts. But must have cost a fortune.
Oh, unbelievably costly. They burned through cash. But the justification was build the user base first, get scale, then make money on transaction fees.
And then the music stopped.
Pop. NASDAQ peaks March 2000, then crashes. This was almost 80% by late 2002.
Ouch. And the reaction?
Swift and harsh. The crash was seen as this definitive judgment against tech optimism, against big plans.
The future suddenly felt uncertain.
Indefinite, random. Anyone talking about multi-year visions or bold new stuff was dismissed as an extremist, out of touch.
And ironically, globalization, which people worried about before.
That replaced technology as the big hope to spread the existing models.
Okay, so this leads to the 4 big lessons everyone supposedly learned, and Thiel thinks they're all wrong.
Fundamentally wrong, yes. Let's tick them off.
Go for it.
Lesson 1, supposedly. Make incremental advances, small steps.
He so says.
Wrong. Risk boldness. Better bold than trivial.
Okay. Lesson 2.
Stay lean and flexible. Unplanned. Just react.
Oh.
Wrong. A bad plan, a definite plan you can adjust, is way better than no plan at all.
Lesson 3.
Improve on the competition. Beat the other guy.
Thiel.
Wrong. Competitive markets are awful. They destroy profits for everyone. Escape competition.
And lesson 4.
Focus on product, not sales. Build it, and they will come.
Thiel.
Wrong. Sales and distribution are absolutely critical, just as important as the product.
That's fascinating because those first 2, especially lean, flexible, iterate, incrementally, they're still gospel today.
Exactly. They became dogma, unquestioned assumptions.
Thiel admits there was hubris in the 90s, right? People believed in 0 to 1.
But few actually achieved it. They confused building a website with building, fusion power.
Right. But the core idea, using tech to do more with less, creating new value, that was still right.
He thinks so.
Yeah?
The ambition wasn't the mistake. The mistake was the dogmatic rejection of those bold ideas after the crash.
He puts it very directly. The most contrarian thing isn't just opposing the crowd.
It's thinking for yourself.
So, thinking about this now, how do those lessons from the bust still influence things? Startups, VCs, big companies.
Do you see examples where lean or iterating or beating the competition has become, unquestioned, maybe limiting bigger leaps?
It makes you wonder. Okay, let's dive into another big one. Possibly his most provocative idea, why monopolies might actually be good.
Yeah, this one definitely gets attention.
He frames it with a business version of his contrarian question. What valuable company is nobody building?
Right, because creating value isn't enough. You have to capture lasting value to succeed.
And here we need to be really clear what he means by monopoly.
Crucial distinction. Not the old-school railroad baron, mustache-twirling villain.
You're not illegal trusts or government favors?
No. He means a company that is just so good at what it does, so far ahead.
That no other firm can offer a genuinely close substitute.
Like Google in search, for many years, there wasn't really a strong second place, was there?
Not really, no. Okay, so that's the definition. Now the really bold statement.
He says, flat out, capitalism and competition are opposites.
Oh. Explain that.
Under perfect competition theory, all the profits get competed away, right? Think about restaurants in one town.
Like Palo Alto, his example.
Yeah. Intense competition, similar food, similar prices. What happens?
Low margins. Brutal daily fight for survival.
Exactly. He argues only a monopoly, a business truly unique and dominant in its space, lets a company transcend that daily grind.
Okay, but monopolies have a terrible reputation. Price gouging, crushing rivals.
And he agrees. In a static world, like the Monopoly board game where things are fixed, they are just rent collectors. They exploit the lack of choice.
Nice.
But in a dynamic world, he argues, creative monopolists are different. They don't just collect rent on existing things.
They add new things.
They give customers more choices by adding entirely new categories of abundance. They invent something new and better.
So they're not just taking a bigger slice of the pie, they're making the pie bigger.
That's the argument. They're engines for making society better, not just themselves.
It's funny, he notes the government is totally conflicted here.
Right. Patent Office tries to create monopolies for inventors.
While the antitrust guys try to hunt them down.
Exactly. But his core argument is creative monopolies drive progress. Why?
The incentive.
The promise of years, maybe decades, of monopoly profits. That's the huge incentive that drives people to take the massive risks needed to create genuinely new things, to go 0 to 1.
Without that potential reward.
The motivation to try something radically new would be much, much lower.
He looks at history too, right? Old monopolies replaced by new ones?
Yeah. IBM hardware monopolies, Microsoft software monopoly, AT&T phone monopoly, mobile providers. History is often new. Better monopolies replacing old ones. Being a monopoly, in this dynamic sense, is the condition of every successful business.
He also talks about the lies people tell about this.
Two main ones.
Lie number one, monopolists pretend they aren't monopolies.
Right. Google says, oh, we're just a small part of the ad market or the consumer tech market. They downplay their dominance to avoid unwanted attention.
And lie number two.
Non-monopolists, especially struggling startups, pretend they are unique monopolies.
We're in a league of our own, no competitors.
Yeah, and he sees that as a fatal mistake. Denial. It's much better to seriously understand your competition than to make up fairy tales about being totally different. Like his joke about the British food restaurant in Palo Alto claiming no competition.
So he sums it up with that punchy line.
All happy companies are different. Each one earns a monopoly by solving a unique problem. All failed companies are the same. They failed to escape competition.
Wow, that's a powerful reframe. Does this change how you think about those big tech companies we use every day? Are they predators or successful creative monopolies?
It forces you to consider that dynamic aspect.
And how might focusing on escaping competition, creating something unique rather than just beating competition, apply outside of business, your career, projects?
Interesting question to ponder.
So if creating a unique monopoly is the goal and competition is actually destructive, why do we hear constantly that competition is healthy? Why is it celebrated?
Yeah, it's deeply ingrained. Thiel argues it's more than just economics. It's become an ideology, almost a view of life itself.
How does he illustrate that?
He shares some personal stories, like a friend asking if he was actually glad he didn't get a super prestigious Supreme Court clerkship after all that intense competition.
Why would he be glad?
The idea being, winning that specific competitive race might have locked him into a less creative, more constrained career path later on, drafting deals for others, not creating himself.
He mentions Rhodes Scholars, too.
Yeah, the saying that they sometimes had a great future in their past, meaning the peak achievement, the defining moment, was winning that intense competition early on, and maybe it limited what came after.
That's a heavy thought, that winning the fight could limit you.
It is. And he looks at the metaphors we use. Managers love war talk, headhunters, captive markets make a killing.
Right.
But he argues competition itself is more like actual war. Destructive, costly, makes you lose sight of the real goal.
He uses Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, brilliant analogy. Two families, Montagues and Capulets. Actually very similar. But they become obsessed with hating and fighting each other.
They become more alike in their destruction.
Exactly. And ultimately destroy their world. That dynamic plays out in business rivalries.
Like Microsoft versus Google.
He points to that period. Two different companies initially, OS versus search, but they became obsessed, competing head-to-head on everything. OS, browser, search, phones.
While they were fighting.
Apple quietly overtook both in market value by building something new. War is costly. Focus on the enemy can blind you.
He gives more examples of this destructive pattern.
Oh, yeah. Like after Square launched its mobile card reader, suddenly everyone was copying it, undifferentiated market, no clear edge for anyone.
Or the .com pet stores, pets.com, petstore.com.
All obsessed with crushing each other because fundamentally they offer the same thing. No real difference.
He mentions that crazy Oracle versus Siebel feud, too.
Right. Larry Ellison versus Tom Siebel, his former protege. Similar guys, intense rivalry, deep hatred, alleged sabotage attempts.
The ice cream sandwiches.
Yeah. And Oracle intentionally picking fights, like those Informix billboards. Ellison focused on rivals, while the Informix CEO got so obsessed with Ellison, he ended up in jail for fraud. Focus on the rival, not the business. Disaster.
And PayPal versus X.com before they merged.
Offices 4 blocks apart, mirroring features, 100-hour weeks. He mentions an engineer designing a bomb schematic targeting X.com.
Seriously.
That's the story. The focus was purely defeat the rival, not necessarily objective progress. Sometimes merging, he suggests, is saner than fighting to the death.
So his conclusion stands. Competition is destructive. He brings up Hamlet finding greatness not in fighting for trivial things, like an eggshell.
But for what truly matters, fighting fiercely over undifferentiated things, that's disastrous logic in business.
Recognizing competition as destructive, not healthy.
Makes you more clear-headed than most.
Yeah.
More sane.
Where else do you see this? Destructive competition. School. Careers. Hobbies.
It's everywhere once you start looking.
And how might stepping back, thinking about creating something unique to escape rivalry, change your own approach?
Big question.
Okay, so if escaping competition by building a creative monopoly is the goal, how do you actually do it? How do you build one that lasts?
Right. He introduces this idea of last mover advantage. Being the last one standing is better than being the first.
Why last?
Because what ultimately matters for business value is generating cash flows far into the future.
Okay. Explain the valuation thing again.
The value of a business today isn't just current profit. It's the sum of all its future cash flows, discounted back to now.
Which is why tech valuations can seem crazy.
Exactly. He used the New York Times versus Twitter example back then. NYT profitable, Twitter losing money, yet Twitter valued way higher.
Or LinkedIn. Modest income, huge valuation.
It's all about the market believing in the potential for massive future cash flows, that durability.
Right. Future potential drives value.
And he notes many entrepreneurs get fixated on short-term growth. Easy to measure, right?
Yeah.
User numbers now, revenue now.
But they miss the big question.
Will this business even be around in 10 years? Will it still be generating cash? Numbers alone don't tell you that. You need critical thinking about the business's fundamental durability.
He mentioned Groupon. Fast growth, but
Struggled with repeat customers, long-term loyalty. Durability was questionable. Or like trying to run a movie studio one hit doesn't guarantee decades of success.
so how do you build that durability? What are the characteristics?
He lays out 4 key characteristics of durable monopoly businesses.
Okay, number 1.
Proprietary technology, stuff that's genuinely hard or impossible for others to copy.
And it can't just be a little better.
No.
No.
His rule of thumb, at least 10 times better than the closest substitute on some important dimension. Anything less is marginal, easy to dismiss, hard to defend.
Connects examples.
Google's original search algorithms way faster, more accurate. PayPal being 10x easier than mailing checks for eBay sellers. Amazon having a 10x bigger book catalog initially. The iPad being 10x better than clunky earlier tablets. You need that step change advantage.
That's a high bar. Okay, number 2.
Network effects. The product gets more useful as more people use it. Facebook is the classic example.
But there's a catch, right?
Crucial catch. It must be valuable to the very first users when the network is tiny.
Like Facebook starting just at Harvard? It worked because your Harvard friends were there.
Exactly. Contrast that with concepts that needed everyone to join at once to be useful. Doesn't work. You need value in that small initial network.
Start small, get value, then grow the network effect. Okay, number 3.
Economies of scale. The business gets stronger, more cost-efficient as it gets bigger. Fixed costs spread out.
Software is great for this.
Perfect example. Cost to make another copy is near zero. Massive scale advantages. Contrast with, say, a yoga studio. More customers means more teachers, more space, limited scale.
Makes sense. And number 4?
Branding. A powerful way to claim a monopoly. Creating that unique identity customers trust and value.
Apple.
The iconic example. Design, stores, marketing, premium price, Jobs' whole persona. It all reinforces the monopoly.
But brand isn't enough on its own.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
He stresses it has to be built on substance. Trying to build a tech company purely on brand without a 10x product. Dangerous. He mentions Marissa Mayer trying that at Yahoo. Jobs slashed Apple products to focus relentlessly on getting those few 10x products right first. Brand reinforces substance. It doesn't replace it in tech.
Okay, those are the 4 characteristics. How do you use them strategically? What's the playbook?
He outlines a clear strategy.
Step 1.
Start small and monopolize. Don't go after a huge market initially. It's way easier to dominate a very small, specific market first. Err on the side too small.
Like PayPal's Palm Pilot idea was small but too scattered.
Right. Email was everywhere. The perfect first market. Small group, particular people, concentrated, few or no competitors.
And the red flag is saying,
We're going after 1% of a $100 billion market. That means you have no foothold and you're inviting massive competition.
so don't aim for 1% of a huge pie. Aim for 100% of a tiny defensible pie.
Exactly. Then, step 2, scale up. Once you are the monopoly in that small niche, then you gradually expand into adjacent related markets.
Like Amazon going from books to CDs to everything.
Perfect example. Or eBay from Beanie Babies to collectibles to other stuff. Sequencing those markets correctly takes discipline and vision.
And step 3, kind of surprising.
Don't disrupt. Yeah, it's counterintuitive now because disruption is such a buzzword.
But he means the original definition. Low-end product takes over.
Right. Like PCs disrupting mainframes. Now it just means fighting incumbents, which he thinks is usually a bad idea.
Better to avoid competition.
Much better.
Yeah.
PayPal didn't try to kill Visa. They helped Visa by enabling online payments. Positive sum. Napster versus the music industry. Negative sum war. Avoid competition as you expand if you can.
So the strategy is Be the last mover by dominating a small niche. Scale deliberately. Avoid fights like chess.
Exactly. Study the end game, know where you're going long term.
Thinking about successful companies today, maybe even the controversial ones, how many of those four characteristics do they exhibit?
It's a useful checklist.
And if you were starting something, how would you find a market too small for others, but where you could become that dominant last mover?
That's the million-dollar or maybe billion-dollar question.
Let's loop back to that very first question, that contrarian question. What important truth do very few people agree with you on?
Hmm.
Thiel argues finding answers depends on discovering secrets.
Right. Every big idea, Pythagorean theorem, internet principles, was once unknown, disbelieved, a secret.
Conventional truths are important, the foundation.
But they don't give you an edge. Secrets do. Finding a secret is the key to that 0 to 1 leap.
Okay, so if secrets are so crucial, why aren't more people looking for them? What stops us?
He suggests several reasons. One is just acting like the map is complete, like there are no secrets left.
Assuming everything important is already known.
Yeah. He uses Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, as this really dark, extreme example. Kaczynski's manifesto argued all the meaningful, hard goals were gone, replaced by fake achievement.
That's bleak.
It is. But Thiel sees echoes of that resignation elsewhere. Maybe in hipster culture, maybe in fundamentalism, different ways of acting as if the frontiers are closed, either rejecting achievement or seeing mystery as unexplainable.
It's like giving up before you start looking.
Exactly. Another reason, our education systems focus on process over substance.
How so?
School often rewards doing exactly what's asked, following the rules for an A. Academia can become about polishing trivial papers for tenure, not chasing risky new frontiers.
You're rewarded for following the known path, not finding a new one.
Right. And there's huge risk aversion. People are terrified of being wrong about a secret.
Because it hasn't been vetted by the crowd.
Exactly. Being lonely and right is hard. Being lonely and wrong feels unbearable.
Complacency, too, especially among successful people.
Yeah, the "you made it, your worries are over" message. It discourages taking new risks or questioning convention.
And finally, that idea of flatness.
Globalization makes the world feel small, hyper-competitive. If a secret were possible, wouldn't someone smarter, faster, better connected have found it already?
That doubt stops people from even looking.
Pretty much. He adds a small positive spin. Hey, harder to start a crazy cult today. Fewer cults is good.
True.
But maybe we've lost some sense of wonder, that belief in discoverable secrets.
He describes the worldview when you don't believe in secrets. History is just random or inevitable. Politics is just polls. Government is just insurance. Economics is efficient markets.
Even though huge bubbles, like the internet or housing crises, clearly show markets aren't always efficient and secrets do exist, ignoring them didn't make them go away.
He uses HP's decline as a cautionary tale here.
Yeah, Hewlett-Packard, decade of amazing invention in the 90s, desk jet, etc., worth $135 billion in 2000.
Then what happened?
They stopped looking for technology secrets, focused on branding, then got consumed by internal politics, boardroom drama, wiretap scandals.
The focus shifted inward, away from innovation.
Completely. Abandoning the search for tech secrets led to obsession with gossip and process. Value plummeted.
Wow. But he insists secrets are still out there.
Absolutely. Secrets of nature, he uses nutrition as an example, saying we know more about stars. A field potentially ripe for secrets.
And secrets about people.
Things people don't know about themselves or things hidden by convention or power. He mentions the low-fat diet push being maybe more lobbying than pure science.
Hidden opportunities, too, like Airbnb finding spare capacity.
Or Palantir realizing software could empower human analysts in a unique way. Even the simplicity of early Facebook, it seemed almost too obvious, suggesting secrets can be hidden in plain sight.
And if you find a secret, what do?
Don't tell everyone. He quotes, Faust, reveal your feelings to the crowd, get crucified.
So find the golden mean.
Tell who you need to, the people who can help you build on it, no more.
So thinking about your own world, your industry, your interests, are there areas where convention might be wrong? What important truth do you suspect few agree on?
And what stops you exploring? Fear of being wrong. Comfort of the known path.
Heavy questions. Okay, let's shift from the philosophical to the practical.
Right.
Actually building a startup.
Getting down to brass tacks.
Thiel has Thiel's law. A startup messed up at its foundation cannot be fixed.
Stark, but probably true. Those initial decisions are critical. They set the trajectory.
And it starts with the founding team.
Absolutely crucial. Choosing co-founders. He says it's like getting married. The single most important early decision
Because founder conflict.
is incredibly ugly, like a divorce that kills the company. Early optimism hides problems, but fundamental misalignments baked in early on will eventually break it.
He uses the concepts of ownership, possession, and control to explain this.
Yeah, how misalignment there is fatal. Ideally, owners, founder shareholders, possessors of power, managers, employees, and controllers, board, are aligned.
But that's hard to achieve.
Very. Sole proprietorship is aligned but can't scale. Anarchic startups fail. Even big corporations often have misalignment between owners, management, and the board.
And in startups, where's the common conflict point?
Often between founders, ownership possession, and the board investors, control. Different timelines, different strategies.
Which makes the board itself super important.
Hugely. His advice, keep it small. 3 is ideal. Never more than 5 unless absolutely needed for control reasons.
Why small?
More effective oversight, easier alignment. Even one bad director, someone misaligned, can cause huge problems. Big boards often mean less effective oversight, ironically.
He also has that on the bus or off the bus rule, Ken Kesey reference.
Right. Everyone involved should be full-time, committed, ideally co-located, especially early on.
Why? What's the risk with part-timers or remote?
Misalignment. Their incentives might be biased towards short-term value extraction, not fully committing to the long-term creation of company value. You're either all in or you're out.
Okay, what about compensation?
Big point here. Cash is not king for early employees.
Really? People want cash.
Sure, but high cash salaries incentivize extracting value now. Equity aligns everyone towards creating much larger value in the future. You want people building long-term wealth with the company.
But allocating equity is messy, right?
Yeah.
Fair shares, different contributions.
Super messy. Equal shares can feel arbitrary later. Different amounts feel unfair. Resentment over equity can absolutely kill a company.
He gives examples. Early employees getting huge stakes compared to later crucial ones.
Yeah. eBay secretary, Facebook graffiti artist. Timing matters hugely. He even suggests keeping equity details secret internally, revealing everyone's stake, like dropping a nuclear bomb.
And he says many people don't even want equity. They prefer cash certainty.
Yeah, like that PayPal consultant demanding $5 share a day cash, signaling he was there for now, not the long haul.
Okay, shifting to culture. It's not just perks, beanbags, free sushi.
No, that's superficial. He says the company's the culture. A startup is fundamentally a team on a mission.
The PayPal Mafia example.
Not just talented individuals, people who genuinely like working together and were fired up by that specific, audacious mission. That shared bond is the culture.
And recruiting. You can't outsource that.
Absolutely not. It's a core competency. You're building the team. You need unique, compelling answers to why join this company.
Beyond pay or title.
Right. 2 kinds of good answers. The mission, why is it important and unique? Why us?
Mm-hmm.
And the team, why is this specific group a great personal match for you?
Don't fight the perk war.
No, that attracts the wrong people. Promise irreplaceable work on a unique problem with great people. That's the draw.
And finally, internal structure. Defining roles.
Crucial. Being different in the same way. Clear roles reduce internal conflict, eliminate competition for responsibility. Internal peace is essential for survival.
Like the Oracle HP examples again, internal conflict kills.
Exactly. When internal peace fails, external rivals are the least of your worries.
Thinking about teams you've been on, what made them work or not work? Was it shared mission, individual talent, clear roles, internal peace versus competition?
Really makes you reflect on group dynamics.
Let's talk about something often overlooked, even maybe disdained by technical people. Distribution and sales.
Ah, yes, the nerds versus salesmen divide.
Thiel argues this is hugely undervalued. He points to the sheer size of advertising and sales industries.
Hundreds of billions spent, millions employed. It's not trivial.
So why the skepticism from, say, engineers?
Well, sales can seem superficial, irrational, maybe dishonest, like changing appearances without changing reality.
Right. Engineers deal with hard facts, code, physics.
Yeah, they see salespeople laughing on the phone, long lunches, and suspect it's not real work.
But what do they miss?
That it takes incredibly hard work to make sales look easy. It's a skill, a performance almost.
The best sales is hidden.
That's his idea. Salespeople are actors, prioritizing persuasion. We react badly to the obvious salesman, the stereotype.
Because we don't like feeling overtly sold to.
Right. Effective sales feels natural. It's called marketing or biz dev or partnerships.
So if you don't see the salespeople,
Maybe you are the salesperson, or someone's doing it very effectively. He argues sales ability distinguishes superstars everywhere.
Wall Street dealmakers, law firm rainmakers.
Even self-promoting academics getting grants. Academia might disdain sales publicly, but secretly envies the ability to persuade and build support.
Okay, he breaks down different distribution channels. Let's run through them.
First, complex sales.
Big ticket items, $1 million plus deals.
Exactly. Requires deep relationship building, often CEO to CEO. Growth is slower, not viral. Think Palantir selling to governments or big banks.
Okay, next.
Personal sales. Mid-range products, maybe $10K to $100. You need salespeople.
But it doesn't work for cheaper stuff.
The economics break down. Can't afford to send a salesperson for every small deal. He argues this is why many small businesses lack good tools. Distribution is the bottleneck.
Makes sense then.
Marketing and advertising. Low-priced, mass-market stuff without built-in virality.
Like detergent, Procter & Gamble.
Perfect example. Requires huge ad budgets. He contrasts early PayPal's basic ads with Priceline hiring Captain Kirk. Startups can't usually compete there.
And finally, the magic one.
Viral marketing, where the product itself drives growth. Users invite friends because it benefits them.
Email, Facebook, YouTube sharing.
Exactly. Crucial part. The core functionality must incentivize sharing. It has to be natural.
He details the PayPal viral strategy again here.
Yeah, started with 24 employees. Banner ads failed, so they paid users $10 to sign up, $10 to refer.
Sounds crazy expensive.
It was, but it worked for their goal. Hypergrowth,
Yeah.
7% daily growth, got them the massive user base needed for transaction fees to become viable.
And targeting was key, not just any users.
Absolutely critical.
Yeah.
They targeted eBay power sellers, 20,000 professional vendors.
Why them?
High transaction volume, and eBay's own payment system was bad. They became enthusiastic early adopters. Dominating that valuable niche made PayPal the standard on eBay. Last mover advantage on that platform.
This leads to his power law of distribution.
Right. Usually, one channel will vastly outperform all others for a given business.
So the kitchen sink approach fails. Try a bit of everything.
Generally, yes. Most businesses fail because they get zero channels working, not because the product is bad. Nail just one channel effectively, you have a great business.
He also stresses selling to non-customers.
Yeah, selling the company vision to recruits, to investors, it's all sales. It doesn't just happen automatically. Calculated effort is needed.
Selling to the media, too.
Crucial. Helps you sell to everyone else, employees, investors, doing diligence.
His conclusion, everyone sells, even if they hate the idea.
If you can't spot the salespeople, it's probably you.
Where do you see sales or persuasion in your life, maybe hidden? And does thinking of yourself as having something to sell, an idea, a skill, yourself, change how you approach things?
Shifts the perspective, definitely.
Let's talk humans and machines. Tech advancement, especially IT, has been incredible. Smartphones versus moon landing computers.
Moore's law keeps surprising us.
And this fuels a fear, right? Computers beating humans at human tasks. Chess. Jeopardy.
Yeah, Mark Andreessen. Software is eating the world. Andy Kessler. Get rid of people.
It feels like two camps. Futurists hoping for replacement, Luddites fearing it,
But both assume computers are substitutes for humans.
and Thiel challenges that premise.
Fundamentally, he argues computers are complements, not substitutes.
How's that different from, say, competing with other workers?
Humans can substitute for each other, compete for scarce resources, similar desires. Machines are different.
How so?
Humans have intentionality, planning, complex decision-making. Computers excel at data processing, pattern finding. They lack judgment.
So tech, 0 to 1, helps us escape 1 to N competition.
Exactly. And as computers get more powerful, their best use is augmenting human capabilities, making us better.
He gives examples from PayPal, fraud detection.
Yeah, early 2000s, losing millions to fraud. Computers flagged patterns, but needed human analysts to confirm. Humans plus computers together / fraud.
And Palantir is built on this idea.
Core concept. Software analyzes massive data, flags suspects or connections. But human analysts interpret, provide judgment, decide on action. Finding terrorists, predicting IEDs, fighting financial crime. It's that synergy.
He applies this to professional jobs, too. Lawyers, doctors, teachers.
Right. Tech empowers them, doesn't replace core human functions like judgment, communication, empathy, tailoring instruction. LinkedIn empowers recruiters, doesn't replace them.
He's critical of big data hype if it's just about computers.
If it ignores the human interpretation loop, yes. Computers find patterns. Humans provide meaning and context for action. We focus on the uncanny computer wins, overlook bigger achievements from human-computer collaboration because the human part makes it seem less like magic AI.
What about strong AI, the singularity?
He sees that as a worry for maybe the 22nd century. Indefinite fear shouldn't paralyze definite plans today.
So not Luddite despair, not techno-utopian replacement.
A middle path. Build tools to complement humans, help us do unimaginable things.
How can you think about tech as a tool to make you better, not replace you? Where do you see successful human-computer collaboration? How could you apply it?
It's about synergy, not substitution.
Okay, let's take this whole framework 0 to 1. Monopolies, competition, secrets, teams, distribution, planning, and apply it to a case study. The clean tech boom and bust.
Right. Early 21st century. Everyone agreed. This is the next big thing. Obvious social needs, smog, clean water.
Huge hype, huge investment.
Massive bubble, roughly 2006, 2011, then a dramatic bust. Solyndra is the infamous ghost.
But many others failed too. 40-plus solar companies bankrupt by 2012.
Yeah. He acknowledges the critique about government involvement, but focuses purely on the business failures through his framework. They just didn't get the fundamentals right.
He uses those 7 key questions every business must answer. Remind us.
Okay. 1. Engineering technology. Breakthrough. 2. Timing. Now. 3. Monopoly. Big share of small market initially. 4. Team. Right people. 5. Distribution. Way to deliver. 6. Durability. Defensible long term. 7. Secret. Unique opportunity others miss.
And clean tech generally failed most or all of these.
Pretty comprehensively, yes.
Technology.
Not 10x better. Incremental improvements on old tech. Solar cells from 1954, slow progress. 20% better isn't enough to overcome inertia.
Timing.
Wrong. People compared it to microprocessors, expected exponential growth. But solar tech was slow-moving, needed a definite plan for takeover, lacked one.
Monopoly.
Failed. Saw the huge market, $1 trillion is good, but huge market,
Right.
ruthless competition, red ocean. They rhetorically shrunk the market to seem different, but asked for valuations based on the big market they couldn't win. Can't dominate a fictional market.
Team.
Often lacked the right mix, uses the suits versus t-shirts rule. Clean tech execs often wore suits. Tech CEO looking like a salesman, probably bad at sales and tech, need both.
Distribution.
Failed. Focused on government funding, investors. Forgot customer.
Sure.
Selling and delivering is vital. Better place, solve tech hurdles, fail at other obstacles, distribution, adoption. Failed. Planned for expensive fossil fuels. Blindsided by fracking, plummeting natural gas prices. Didn't see it coming. Stuck to conventional wisdom.
And the secret.
Failed. Justified themselves with the conventional truth. World needs clean energy. Led to undifferentiated products for an overbroad goal. The best problems, the secrets, are overlooked, not trumpeted by crowds.
Okay, so clean tech mostly failed the test. What about Tesla? He contrasts them.
Yes, argues Tesla got all 7 right.
Tech.
Superior integrated product.
Yeah.
Forced others to rely on their tech eventually.
Timing.
Right, for high-end electric sports cars to prove the concept.
Monopoly.
Started small, monopolized niche, Roadster, $100, few thousand sold. Scaled to luxury, Model S 20K sold. Then broader markets, dominate small, then expand. Textbook.
Team.
Elon Musk. The rare consummate engineer and salesman. Understands tech deeply, master of vision and distribution.
Distribution.
Built their own store service. Higher upfront cost, but control, brand, long-term relationship.
Durability.
Built head start, moved faster, widening lead. Coveted brand.
And the secret.
This is key. Clean tech saw obvious social need as the opportunity. Tesla saw a deeper secret. That desirable electric cars were possible now, and energy needed new tech solutions, not just funding an idea. Tesla had specific, definite plans.
That framework is powerful and applied like that. How can you use those 7 questions? Evaluating ideas, ventures, projects.
And what makes an opportunity a secret versus just a conventional truth everyone agrees on? Where's the edge?
Let's talk about founders themselves. Are they just weird? Do we exaggerate their traits?
Thiel suggests they often have extreme traits. Contradictory ones sometimes. Cash, poor paper rich, sullen charismatic, inside outsider.
Not a normal bell curve.
More like an inverse bell curve. Extremes are common.
He gives examples. Branson, Musk, Parker, Howard Hughes, people embodying these extremes or the inside-outsider thing.
Right. Calculated rebelliousness, multiple radical ventures, hacker turned insider, genius turned recluse.
He connects this to a historical role founders play, like scapegoats, figureheads.
Yeah. Vessels for public sentiment. Praised or blamed. Links it to ancient myths, sacrifice, monarchy, modern American royalty, like celebrities.
And the ultimate tech examples, Gates and
Prime
Jobs.
examples. Gates, nerd outsider to wealthiest insider, OS monopoly, antitrust stagnation, philanthropy. Jobs, artist, product obsessive, inside outsider, returns to save Apple, creates world's most valuable company through singular vision.
He argues creating truly new value isn't a formula. It depends on that singular vision.
Profoundly. Successful tech companies, he suggests, resemble feudal monarchies, led by unique founders making authoritative decisions, inspiring loyalty, planning decades ahead, necessary for 0 to 1.
He then explores how we view the future and why most common views aren't helpful for building things,
Especially in the West. The default is the indefinite future.
seeing it as random, unpredictable, uncontrollable.
Yeah. Which leads to prioritizing process over substance. Build a portfolio of options, classes, skills, resume padding, because you have no concrete plan.
Finance epitomizes this, making money without creating wealth.
He argues yes. Politics becomes polls and image. Government provides insurance, not solutions. Life feels indefinite life tables, not longevity breakthroughs. Biotech doing random screening.
This indefinite optimism, assuming the future gets better without anyone planning it, seems fragile.
Unsustainable, he argues. How can it get better if no one has definite plans? He links it to business buzzwords. Evolution, lean, iterate. Small changes won't find the global maximum. In startups, intelligent design works best. Deliberate creation.
Okay, what's the alternative?
The definite future. Believing you can understand and shape it.
Two flavors of definite.
Definite optimism. Future will be better because I plan and work to make it better. Post-war America. Highways, Apollo. Welcome big plans, now they seem crazy.
Definite pessimism. Future will be worse, but planning can mitigate it. He sees China here, copying the West, definite plans for factories, knowing limits, taking future deadly seriously.
And the default Western mode. Indefinite optimism. Households save little, companies hoard cash. Where are the concrete plans? Contrast with definite optimism, plan build, or definite pessimism, plan for the worst.
He reiterates the power of definite design. Steve Jobs again.
Yeah, multi-year visions. iPod is post-PC device. Long-term planning is undervalued. That's why valuing private companies with visionary founders is hard to take it. They aren't selling early if their plan is bigger.
His conclusion: we need a cultural shift back to a definite future.
Politics, academia, hard to change. But a startup, that's the largest thing you can have definite mastery over. Agency. It starts by rejecting the tyranny of chance.
You are not a lottery ticket.
Powerful idea.
How much of your own life feels like a portfolio of options versus a definite plan? How does thinking about the future as something you can actively design change your perspective?
It's a challenge to that passive, indefinite mindset.
Finally, let's look at the power law and why it's often missed, even by VCs.
Right. The idea that a small few radically outstrip all rivals. 80-20 on steroids. Biggest earthquakes, biggest cities, monopoly businesses.
He applies it directly to venture capital returns.
Yeah. VC returns are not a normal bell curve. They follow a power law. The big secret. The best investment in a successful fund often equals or outperforms the entire rest of the fund combined.
Whoa. One huge win pays for everything else and then some.
Exactly. Massive implications for how VCs should invest.
Which are?
Only invest in companies with potential to return the entire fund's value. This wipes out most opportunities. And invest heavily in those few potential huge winners. Don't dabble. Back the potential Facebooks or Googles, otherwise you're just buying lottery tickets.
So why do even VCs miss this?
It's only clear over time. Early companies look similar. Daily work focuses on average companies. VCs spend more time fixing problems than nurturing huge successes, which warps perspective.
If VCs miss it, most everyone else does too.
Stands to reason. Power law distributions are huge, but hiding in plain sight. Successful writers, wealth, company size.
And society teaches us against power law thinking.
He argues yes. Schools homogenize, value balance. Universities value excellence across arbitrary departments. Folk wisdom. Don't put all eggs in one basket. Diversified hedging.
But life isn't a portfolio.
No. Entrepreneurs can't diversify across 20 startups. Individuals can't diversify across dozens of careers. High achievers might hesitate to start something new because they know the power law. Joining a dominant company like Google might be vastly more rewarding than starting something likely to fail. 0.01% of Google, 100% of a failure.
His final point: the most important things are rarely obvious, often secret, and follow a power law.
You can't afford not to think hard about where your efforts fall on that curve. Are you focused on something with power law potential?
How does this power law idea change how you think? Investing, career choices, focusing your energy. Does it resonate that a few things matter vastly more than everything else?
It's radical prioritization principle.
We've covered a lot of ground here through Peter Thiel's 0 to 1, from 0 to 1 versus 1 to N.
The case for creative monopolies. The critique of competition.
Lessons from the dot-com bust, the need for definite plans.
Building foundations, teams, mastering distribution, human-machine complementarity.
Learning from clean tech's failures and Tesla's success.
The role of founders, definite thinking, and that power law.
The central theme weaving through it all seems to be
The importance of seeking unique opportunities, building something genuinely new, and approaching things with definite design, not just reacting to chance.
these are really powerful, sometimes uncomfortable ideas to wrestle with. For building things, for careers, just for understanding the world, this deep dive, based on the sources you brought, aimed to pull out those vital insights for you.
And here's a final thought to ponder, straight from the source material's core. Thiel argues you are not a lottery ticket. A startup is the largest thing you can have definite mastery over. This pushes back hard against the idea that success is mostly luck or just adapting.
So the question for you is, what does it mean to approach your future, your projects, your path, with that sense of definite design, actively planning, building toward a vision?
Instead of just hoping for the best, reacting to chaos, or hedging your bets across a scattered portfolio.
Thank you for bringing these sources for this deep dive. We hope this conversation gave you a powerful new lens.
Keep exploring, keep questioning.
And keep looking for those important truths very few people agree with you on.